What's up guys, and welcome back to the series. Episode 2, you know what day it is, it's leg day. I'm not going to lie to you, this is the session which I enjoy the least. I don't think there's any part of a leg session which I'm like really enjoying apart from when the session is over and I walk out of the gym and I know that I don't have to do it again for 5 days. But that level of satisfaction which I get after a leg day is by far the greatest compared to all of my other sessions. Now, I'm not going to go to my usual gym, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. A new little spot which has opened a few weeks ago called Holiday Gym. So it's about a 10-minute drive away, so let's hop in the whip and head over there. So this is a new spot, it's about a 10-minute drive from me, next to the big IKEA in the old town. Holiday Gym, never heard of it before, but apparently there's quite a few of them in Spain, in Madrid, and a few other places as well. So one of the reasons why I'm going to a different gym is firstly because I like to mix it up. Going to the same gym over and over again does get a little bit repetitive. I do like to have a bit of variety in my life. Second of all is the heat. Particularly in July and August, it gets hot out here. And when I'm training outdoors and it's 32 degrees, 33 degrees Celsius, it's absolutely boiling and not pleasant at all. I actually feel like it really does negatively affect my session. So on the hot days, I come here. It's cooler, there's fans, there's air conditioning, there's a lot more movement of air, so I feel as though that improves the quality of my sessions. This gym is quite strict with the mask wearing policy, so I've got to keep this on in between my sets. Pretty ridiculous, but I've got to stick to the rules. So I've got downstairs, got an upstairs. A lot of machines downstairs, and then upstairs is more free weight stuff. I don't think they've got a squat rack yet, but that's going to come in next week. Ooh. God, it's a sticky one. Okay, so the first exercise I'm going to do is the Romanian deadlift. So when I'm warming up before my leg workouts, I don't really go through a set routine. I just do a lot of sets on the first exercise, like just with the bar, maybe some more plates on the bar, some more plates. So it's almost like I'm doing 4 warm-up sets. The thing is as well, if you're lifting heavier, then you're going to need to do more warm-up sets. What I will do now, because it's really heavy, I'm going to take my shoes off, I'm going to do it barefoot. Because when I do it barefoot, I'm a lot more stable and I'm just basically glued to the ground. I'm not rocking backwards and forwards. That's exactly what I don't want, particularly when I'm lifting heavy weight. So, because I don't have a rack, I'm just going to have to pull it up as if I'm doing a normal bent knee deadlift. But once I've got to the top, I'll reset and we'll do the Romanian deadlift technique. And I'm using straps because, not that I necessarily have weak forearms, but just I don't want my forearms to fatigue before my hamstrings, okay? So if that happens to you, don't be afraid to use straps. We're not really trying to work our forearms on this exercise. That felt good, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'll be able to do any heavier than that. Because when I was doing that set, I was able to keep the tension on my hamstrings and thrust properly with my glutes. I don't want too much of the tension to be on my lower back, and I don't want my lower back to round at all. So when it comes to deciding how deep you should go, it depends on your flexibility. So for me, I go down to the point, I'll push my hips back, lower the bar. Once my hamstrings are fully lengthened, I stop. There's no point going lower because you'll just round your lower back and you're moving the tension away. Okay, so after that final set, I'm just pretty fried. So I have a few minutes to recover. Whilst I'm kind of recovering, I'm just doing a few easy warm-up sets for the leg extension. So obviously we're going to be working the quads. Next, giving the lower back and hammies a little bit of time to recover before we hit them again. I'm going to pull myself into the pad as much as possible. Keep my back upright. I don't really want to lean back into it, I'm just going to keep upright. Slow, lock out at the top. you're doing the movement slow and controlled, you shouldn't really have any issues with your knees, unless you really do have bad knees. I think a lot of people tend to have the problem of like rolling their knees out at the bottom and then rolling back in. You want to try and limit any rolling that's done, so imagine fist apart and keep your knees in that position throughout the entire set, okay? Okay, so the last set, again, we're going all out. If I did have a training partner here, that moment I reach concentric failure, I'll get them to grab the back of my ankles and gently help me out to complete that full range of motion. But since I'm training by myself, I'm going to push to failure. Once I can't move the pad anymore, I'm going to drop the weight. So I'm going to do a drop set and then a drop set after that. So I'm just going to really fatigue the quads here. About 10 seconds rest before you go to the drop. I'll probably drop the weight by about a third. Okay, so the next exercise, exercise number 3, is leg press. There's a few ways you can do this, it just really depends upon which muscle group you're trying to focus on. So if I was like trying to focus more on the glutes and hammies, the feet would be high on the platform and wide, right? But with this one I want to try to focus more on my quads, because the 2 quad dominant exercises we're doing in this routine is the leg extension and the leg press. The rest is kind of glutes, hamstring. So feet are going to be a little bit closer together, pointing upwards. As I mentioned before in a previous video, when you do this exercise, you want to be pushing your lower back into the pad at all times. Okay, the moment you come down and your lower back comes off the pad, obviously I'm over exaggerating, the tension's moving away from your legs into your lower back. I want to go as deep as I can without my lower back lifting and my heels coming off the pad. So for me, it's about here. My ankle dorsiflexion, flexibility of my ankles is pretty poor, so that's about as low as I can go, whilst maintaining the tension on my quads. If I wanted to hit hamstrings and glutes more, I would be able to come much deeper, but there's a lot more tension here. So, as I said, it depends what you're really trying to work. Okay, so I've done 3 sets already, this is going to be the last set. Same thing as always, pushing to complete failure. If you're feeling a burn in the working muscle, you're doing the right thing. But let's say, for example, you were doing this leg press, you're trying to hit the quads, but you don't feel a burn in the quads. You need to change something because the tension is not where it's supposed to be. When I'm doing this set, my quads are in agony. now we're going to move on to a hamstring exercise. Now, my actual favourite machine for doing hamstrings is this one over here. It's a seated hamstring curl. But there's two types of machines you can do it on. This one I don't like, because when you're lifting heavy weight, you need to be locked in position as much as possible. If you're lifting a heavy amount of weight, you need an opposing force to keep you locked in position. And with these ones, they don't have a pad for your quads to resist against. So I find generally, without that pad and handle to push against, I don't get the most from this exercise. So this machine, in my opinion, I don't think it's pointless. It's going to do the job it needs to do. But when you get to a certain point where we're doing a significant amount of resistance, I just don't think it's that good. So today we're going to do lying hamstring curl. Again, my legs are pretty warmed up. I'm going to do one set just to feel it out, get my hammies prepared for what is to come, and then we can crack on. You don't want the pad to be rolling up and down the back of your leg. The pad needs to stay in one place. And when you're doing the curl, don't lift your bum up, okay? You're thrusting your hips into the pad at all times. So we're going to rest a bit, and then we're going to go into the working set. We'll aim for 12 reps. Sometimes if you don't hit the target rep range, don't stress out too much, just do what you can. And I think in that case, you're probably going to need to drop it by 1 pin in order to hit 12. Or if I had a training partner, they could assist me, but mine is solo today. Okay, so the last set, all out again. I'm going to do what I did with the leg extension, and I'm just going to drop the weight once I reach concentric failure. One more exercise left. So the last exercise number 5, is Bulgarian Split Squat. We're going to do it on the bar just for added stability, especially at the end of the session. Your body's going to be pretty fatigued, so the last thing you want is to be trying to stabilize your body. The fact that this bar only goes up and down means that we kind of lean on a little bit for support. What I'm going to do for this exercise, I'm going to manipulate it, so we're going to target the glutes. I haven't really smashed the glutes really in this session, apart from the Romanian deadlift, but that's it really. So for this one, if you want to hit more of the glutes, what we're going to try and do, we're going to take a further step forward, and we're going to lean into it, okay? So as you come down with the bar on your back, you want to stretch the glute as much as possible. When we've got a maximum stretch, think about thrusting forward, okay? So obviously you're driving with the leg, but you want to be thrusting forward with the hip, okay? So hips backwards, hips forwards to really engage your glutes. Sometimes, well, a lot of the time I will start off with this or do my second exercise. Because I'm doing it at the end today, it's unlikely I'll be able to lift as much as I normally do, but we'll do what we can. And sometimes it is good to mix the order of the exercises around. Okay, it's just manipulating the stress you're placing on the muscle. Okay, if you're doing the same order over and over again, your body can adapt to that quite quickly, so it's worth mixing it up. But as a general rule of thumb, it's probably best for you to do the compound movements to begin with. Right, if I try to do heavy Romanian deadlifts at the end of a session, I'm only going to get a fraction of the weight which I would normally lift if it was the first exercise. So try and thrust with your glutes. As I mentioned earlier about rotating the order of the exercises, I don't recommend rotating the order every week because it's going to be hard to track progress and try and increase the weight and overload on a week-to-week basis. So keep the order the same for a couple of weeks, then mix it up or do different exercises when you change up your split. Okay, so this is the last set of the day. Thankfully, I started the session approximately 1 hour 15 minutes ago, so that's a good time. Any more, I can feel I'm already fatiguing both physically and mentally. If I was to do any more exercises after this, it'd be pointless. It would just be overdoing it, overtraining. So I'm gonna give this final set everything I've got, and then it's session over. Oh. 15-second rest and final leg. Oh, feeling very sick. Done. God, that feels good. So the session is done. I'm not remotely hungry. I've got a feeling of nausea, which I usually do after leg day. So I'm gonna go back. I'll probably have a shake in about half an hour to an hour, and then I'll start piling food into me for the rest of the day. But right now it's just important for me to just rest and take it easy, especially after a session like that.
So that is the session complete. I am well and truly fried. A few things worth noting about that session. Calf training. I actually don't train my calves. Ever. Right? I haven't done it for probably well over a year now. Reason behind that is, luckily, genetics wise, I was gifted a decent set of calves, and for me, I honestly don't really want to make them any bigger. I'm not interested in making them any bigger. I'd rather save that time and energy training another muscle group. For most people, it is something they should train, particularly if they are absolutely tiny. Second point is, you may notice there's no squats in that session. For me personally, I actually don't do squats that often, because for me, if I do a flat-footed barbell squat, it really does load up my glutes and lower back, I've found, due to my proportions and my lack of flexibility. So for me, it's not really something I want to do too much of, because I don't want my lower back to be any bigger, and there's better exercises for me to do to try and target my quads. I will throw some squats in from time to time just to see, you know, if I've still got it in the bag, but I've found in the past, the majority of times that I have injured myself, it has come from squatting. That's heavy weight loaded up onto my lower back. At the bottom of the squat, I've injured my lower back a few times, and for me personally at this stage, I don't really want to run the risk of injuring myself again. So there's, you know, back supported leg movements which I can be doing, where I can really load up the weight and I can protect my lower back at the same time. For a lot of people out there though, I do recommend doing squats. Squats is one of the best bang for your buck exercise you can do, because it literally just trains your entire body. Okay, and most people aren't doing outrageously heavy weight that it becomes a risk. Although, that being said, if you are squatting with poor form and you can't neutralize your spine, then yes, you are going to injure yourself. So you have to make sure that your form is on point. So that is the leg routine. Hope you've enjoyed it. The full workout is in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video for workout number 3.